years ago, I bought an M2 Competition. It was black, I put gold wheels on it, and it was fantastic. And around that time, BMW announced something called the M2 CS that was a lot more money. And I was evangelical about the fact that I could make my competition just as good as a CS. And then a year ago, BMW said, would you like an M2 CS? And having said I wouldn't buy one, I did. Because I'm weak wheels and I'm a man. I'm in it now. I'm going to make a video about my M2 CS and why I think it's flipping brilliant. I've never skidded this one before. What does it do? Made to slide. What a machine. Like my yellow car, I'm in the middle of a bit of a love affair with this thing. It's everything I want in an M car. A lot of people reckon these turbocharged M's are nothing like as good as the normally aspirated cars. I disagree. I've had a 1M, I've had an M2 comp, and now I've got this, and I love them. They're so exciting. That extra torque from the turbocharged engine just makes the whole chassis come alive, and when I drive a normally aspirated one now, it just feels flat to me. Anyhow, before we go any further, allow me to walk around this thing, tell you why I bought it, and a few little things I've done to it. So the M2 CS, like this, is nearly £90,000 of baby M car, which is crazy money, but it's got carbon ceramics, manual gearbox. First of all, you can see they came, I think, in black, white, or a funky blue colour, and this one's green because I've had it wrapped. But I like Irish green. I've never had it on a car before, and I think it looks fabby with the gold M wheels. Those M Performance wheels I had on the black car, they're actually standard on a CS. Here we go, front splitter. That's unique to the CS. It chips up like a bastard, as they say in the trade. You need a bit of PPF if you're going to get one. It really does chip up. The bonnet, unique to the CS, with this big sort of scoop in it. It's carbon fibre. It's sexy as hell. If you look underneath it, wow, it was just beautiful. The roof is carbon fibre. That gives you some sort of weight saving, but with the electric seats, like I said, I'm not sure why you want that saving. And furthermore, as you can see here, I've got the mother bleep of all chips in the windscreen from yesterday. And I've never had a bonded windscreen put in against a carbon roof. Can anyone do it? Is it expensive? Should I be scared? Answers on a postcard. Carbon fibre mirrors, that's standard CS. I hate these extenders that clearly they had to put on to get the wheels and tyres through the German TÜV, I would have thought. I'd cut them off if I was you. They look awful because you really lose that tension between the top of the tyre and the wheel arch. I like the M2 CS rear spoiler, and I've had an Akrapovic fitted to it because it sounds great, gives it a little bit more power, but nothing too much. So what do you think of the way it looks? I think it's a fantastic looking M car because it's so much more special than the standard 2 Series. It's got this big wide arches and it's got that stance. Whenever you see an M2 on the road, you can spot it from a mile away if you know what you're looking for. And that's what M cars should do. Those that know, those that don't just think, is that just a normal 2 Series? I love it, I really do. Is it a keeper forever? Probably not, because I want to have other experiences, because I've had 2 of these now. I had a comp in this, and I've done 17,000 miles in the 2 of them. Maybe time to move on, I'm not sure. But with a manual gearbox and this setup, it is, for me, about the perfect little M car. Now, when BMW does a CS, they like to tweak the interior to make it feel a bit racier, which to me means less practical. So in the M2 comp, you had a sort of armrest thing here, sort of a charging area, a couple of USBs from memory. Now you get none of that. You just get this single piece of carbon here, which does look sexy, doesn't it? From that side, it looks sexier than it does from my side. But you get one mean USB here, and you lose some valuable storage space. And the older you get, the more you need to store, because you've got pills and a Zimmer frame and issues. You need places to put your issues. I've got none of them. So I've got 2 cup holders here. That does me fine. I don't understand the electric seats. They've got holes in them here. Now these are great because they're supposed to save a bit of weight, but if you've got 2 or, as I have, 3 young children with good sense of humour, every time you're driving they're behind you, they just poke you in the back. That's not a great piece of design at all. And of course with the electric motors, they're now as heavy as the lead spaceship. So we've taken weight out of the roof and we've got a load more weight in the seats. I don't quite understand. And this steering wheel, yeah, I mean, it's just too thick. I love the blue and red stitching. It's all great. I love the fact it says M2 CS when you turn the car on. And this is lovely. Look at the Alcantara there with the CS there. But in my experience, when Porsche does an RS, it does things that actually make the car a lot lighter. I'm not really sure much of this makes it much lighter. It looks great. And I feel great about myself in it with my little M2 logos and my motorsport and everything. But really, I think I'd rather have the comp interior with the extra space for my issues, if you know what I mean. So as you all probably know, an M2 CS is quite a bit different to a competition. Got different suspension, the engine's just a remap up to about 450 horsepower. You get carbon bonnet, a carbon roof, some lovely bits and bobs. Changes I've made, well, I've put an Akrapovic exhaust on it, as I tend to with most things, and I have changed the suspension on this car. So Bilstein has done a set of adjustable dampers for it, so I can use the 3 modes, because adjustable dampers are something for an M2 CS that an M2 comp doesn't have. So I've now got a more sophisticated damper setup, and on the circuit here now, I'm in the fully stiff mode. I've not used it on track before. It's fantastic, it really works well. And on the road, I can knock it into a comfort mode that's much, much more comfortable, softer than the standard setup. Litchfield did the whole thing. Go and have a look at his cars, they are fantastic. The rest of it is stock. You don't need any more power because the thing is so grunty already. I can't think of a car that's rear-wheel drive that I'd rather do this kind of thing in, because it is so good. It's a totally different machine to that yellow 911. I know you can argue they fill the same sort of space, similar power, similar performance, quite a lot of money, but this is more practical. 4 seats and a boot, so I can put all the nippers in this one. And I have to say, I do so many miles that if I just did them in one car, it would do an awful lot. To spread them across this, yeah, sorry. To spread them across this and the 911 is about right for me. I know, it's incredibly spoiled, but what's the point in working if you can't buy stupid toys? Other things I love, manual gearbox. The gearing in this car is fantastic. It's got so much torque now as a CS that third gear is a monster and it runs all the way out. If you have the DCT with all those extra ratios, you don't have that delicious sense of having one gear that does it all. This is third gear pull from 50. I'm still going, I'm still going, I'm still going. Look at that, it's doing nearly 110 in third. Now, some people say that's way too long gearing, but it pulls so hard, I don't really care. And the torque is just sensational. Watch this, dry track, third gear from 40 miles an hour, straight away it's sliding. I'd say the one thing that lets the car down is probably the steering. The CS, for whatever reason, has much, much more communicative steering than the comp. BMW's a bit coy about the changes they made, but there are definitely toe, camber, caster changes to the front of the car because it feels much more connected. But every time you get in the 911, you think, oh, right, okay, this thing's got proper steering. And every time you get into a 1M, you can't believe how much better the steering feels. You need those ceramics, and what you don't need is a steering wheel this thick. It must be for some kind of simian type animal that has got bigger hands than me, because this is stupid, it really is silly. Other than that, seats are superb, I can get nice and low. I just can't believe that BMW will carry on making cars like this. I know there'll be a new M2, but I suspect it'll either be 4-wheel drive or there'll be no manual. Now, the next one, there'll be some hybridity. I think this is the last of an era. I really do. It's done nearly 5,000 miles this now, and I would like to keep it, really. Every time I drive it, I just think I'm in a compact rear-wheel drive BMW with a shitload of power. And I couldn't really ask for more. Those are the cars I've always loved as a journalist, and it feels like a BMW inside. It's got 2 clock faces in front of me. It's got a driver-centric dashboard that's pointed towards me. It's got a familiar gear lever. You know, it is a modern car, but it's the oldest feeling BMW M car, and I love that.